Hello everybody, this is No Sport. So returning to Storm Over Europe Part 1 Redux, going over the last few maps. Went ahead and had started Battle of Abbeville. Not much has fully changed in this scenario. It is a little bit bigger further south. This is a very localized battle. So the X's are actually displaying a very small area on a large map. Very simple objectives here. Control all victory hexes. This actually should be raid all airfields. Eliminate the French commander. And this is the start of really what would have been part 2 of Storm Over Europe. So you are given a chance here after a few days of rest, basically, to purchase new units that will start with 2 stars of experience. The cap is 3 stars, so I do highly encourage you to actually do that, because in the next mission it is actually very important. So we'll go ahead and open the next mission, which is Wagon Line. This is why it will be important. Your scenario or your core slots jump to 135. You are given an option right off the bat if you have enough elite reinforcements, replacements to actually get some captured equipment. It is all up to the player. It costs your elite points. And so in this one, this is a lot bigger of a map in the sense. So here's basically the Battle of Abbeville right here. That's what that's representing. It's a lot narrower of a focus now because the map is a lot more zoomed out. And you are going to need to control these objectives right here. You don't need Paris. And you can investigate Paris. You can destroy 125 French and British units. And then you also, if you not take advantage of last scenario where you could get 2 stars, you have a chance to still purchase units, but they only come at 1.5 stars. But you do have some auxiliary units with the 4th Army here. Otherwise, mostly you are going to be deploying, apologize about that, to the right of Amiens and to the left of St. Quentin. Pretty straightforward objectives. This is near the fall of France. The French and British have reinvigorated themselves and going to offer a pretty stout defense, but still carry on. So we'll go ahead to the next mission here, which is another pretty fun one, if I remember my order correctly. All right, this one should be Maginot Line. Nope, sorry, Ariel and Cycle. All right, I can't remember half the times. I think I've told you guys this before. So that's an option you do have. You can get some Flak Panzer 1s, Vicar AAs, a little bit of both, or pass. So this mission has been changed a lot. You still basically have a large scope of France here, the rest of Western France and southern, getting into central France. You have the White and the coast of England. You have some pretty simple objectives: capture Cherbourg, Brest, Nantes, and La Rochelle. And you do have capture secondary ports. One of them being Le Havre. You do have a strong British defense over here. That's another secondary port at Grenville. And then also Venice. The resistance here, especially at Le Havre, is really strong. And you'll see some surprises from the French. They are not quite done in fighting and stuff. And your elite objective is to sink as many transports as possible. This scenario will be somewhat similar in terms of the Operation Dynamo. Sorry, I'm answering messages while I record this. So you have your transport zones, and the British are going to provide strong aerial defense against that. But at the same time, you can't deploy such a huge force or air force to counter him, because you still have to capture your objectives. So we'll go ahead and go off to the next mission real quick. One of these is Maginot. Maginot is a very fun scenario. I'm probably saying that a lot of fun scenarios. I will say the testers have been able to identify which scenarios have been heavily modified and created by me compared to the ones that have just been lightly edited. Not too sure if that's a full compliment. So all right, so this, yes, it is Maginot. Reading the mission, blah blah blah. So in this mission, your main objective is your forces are starting at Verdun, and you're going to assist part of the 19th Panzer Corps and go down to the border with Sweden. Your main objectives are here and here, but you are assisting Army Corps C, or Army Group C, sorry, and having to capture Strasbourg and destroy fortifications here. So this is a very well detailed map. You do have some stronger forces. These are weaker overall, though, as this was mostly reservist units and stuff. And they do have some air force, so you do have a little bit of extra. You have a railgun. This is actually one of the new units. It's not as big, but is a 240 millimeter one. It does not have any range bonuses, but you can see it can already fire really far. None of your artillery have any. Some of your artillery, some of your bigger guns have some range bonuses. Your smaller ones don't. You do get rewards, not really commendation points, but rewards for meeting the objectives. We'll go ahead and move off to the next one. You're going to start hearing references. That the armistice is happening here soon. It is. But just because an armistice is happening doesn't mean the war is over. This is Troyes. What you're doing, it is a very simple mission overall. You're capturing 6 victory hexes. Troyes is 2 of those 6. And they're down over here, and then Dijon. And destroy as few as French units as possible. So there's 73 French units on the map. Destroy 40 or less, and you will receive a bonus. You're down to 45 slots to kind of reference that things are slowly coming to an end. This is a very possible mission. You have multiple spots where you can deploy and you can get your objective. Kind of very, very similar to design of the Axis Operations Czechoslovakia mission. So, and then we'll go to Lyon, I believe. And Lyon is another mission that is heavily modified. Has some interesting objectives to it. Trying to make sure that it's very difficult sometimes to create unique objectives and make sure they work. We are very limited sometimes, it feels like, in what kind of objectives we can do. I try to make them as interesting as possible and also as realistic as possible, but also allowing for alternate history to happen. And this is actually one of those missions where alternate history can happen. So you have Switzerland up here again, off to the right. You are actually assisting this elite detachment of 7th Panzer, Marine Detachment Gumpritsch, and the 2nd SS Division Das Reich. These guys cannot take on a strong force. However, they are built for speed. You can deploy a force around here and push down to the main objectives. Now, I'm calling this Comfort Kessler, even though it didn't really have a name. And their main objective is to actually reach the French naval base here. And you can see on the mini-map, there are blue French towns. And then there are purple French towns with the Vichy France flag. Your objective is do not capture more than 12 towns of southern metropolitan France. These, the flags that you cannot capture, marked purple. This includes these two. Now, here's the twist. There are some pretty good prestige rewards for capturing each purple town. It's not easy. There is a trick on how you get through all this. And it's fun to discover it because the French will defend and try to attack these guys. But they have to survive too, because your main forces will get bogged up by the AI. It's a fun mission, and one of the rewards is you are going to be capturing part of the French fleet. And that is going to help set up the eventual Operation Sea Lion, later Battle for Britain, is you have acquired a fleet. So let's go off to the next mission. I did say the later missions are going to be more after action report, AAR style. And this is true after this mission we just saw. You're basically reporting to a headquarters and debriefing. So in this style, you are reading missions. And one of these first missions is going to be the strangulation of Malta. So in this mission, you get a large part of, you get all Malta, most of southern Sicily, little bit of Africa, and it's going to be similar to some other missions where your planes normally will not reach, but you've been given a buff to reach. You do not have any core slots to bring over, and you have some very simple objectives, but it's not always going to happen that way. You're not really going to get commendation points. You're going to get some unique items and stuff for that. So let's go ahead and go to the next one. This is another map, by the way, that eventually will be reused because it does have a lot of the key areas that will be used later historically. Let's go to this next mission. We had Malta, and then we go to... if I was smart, I would actually load up the tree I have, but, it's more fun to test my memory sometimes. This is another big map, if I remember right. I think this is Glorious Report. Glorious Report is like 100 hexes wide by 50 or 60 tall. It's a very large mission. A lot of it is empty space. A lot of it's water, obviously. But it's a very good mission in a way. It offers a chance to provide another alternate history. So the after action reports, basically you are not getting elites. You are not getting... They're taking place after the campaign has ended again, but they provide a chance to, in an uninterrupted way, offer alternative history chances. So you are following the Scharnhorst and Gneisenau, and they have an AR-196. So these planes, they don't have any heroes on them, but they don't have a rebase. on him. It's a normal trait. These plans are not buyable. So they're your little scout planes. Your main objective here is to sink the HMS Glorious. Your Admiral Hipper, Scharnhorst, and Gneisenau must survive. Sink at least 12 Allied transports. Good luck finding them. They are on the map. They're very heavily protected. And there's rumors of a special convoy. Good luck finding that special convoy. But the HMS Glorious will be along in this area. And there are some British submarines around. Avoid those because you can potentially lose your ships, which is not a good thing. So this, again, Glorious Report, which is Operation Juno. And then we will go to, I believe this is the Alps one. So a lot of the later missions are really large in terms of hex sizes. There is a training mission in part 2 that is pretty large also. Not every battle is going to be large. When it calls for it, it will be. Especially if I'm trying to show off a large area and testing grounds, for example. So the 1940 Part 2 is a sea trial mission. It's not... To me, a larger training scenario is a little bit more fun. It offers a chance to spice up the rewards and the difficulty a little bit compared to type pack training missions. Oh, man. Sorry. Sometimes it really feels like the mission from here to here takes forever, but once you're here, it doesn't take a long time. I think this is Menton, which is part of the Battle of the Alps. Here we go. We start loading up pretty fast now. Battle Menton, one of part of the Alps. So you are assisting the Italian army. You have the 5th Infantry Division up here, 37th Infantry Division, and then not a lot up here. Your main objectives is kind of similar to the Maginot. You're destroying French forts along the border. Capture these 3 objectives right here. Then your lead objective is over here. This terrain is not going to be fun, but it was a very difficult campaign. Italians obviously barely gained any ground. I think they gained up to here, if I remember right offhand. They lost several thousand, only to gain, a small population of like 21,000. And you don't get elite points really, and secondary commendation points. You're going to get Italian equipment. So it'll be actually really good for... Oops, that's a little error right there. For people who play with like collector and limited stuff. And then this one should be Operation R. Won't say too much about this map. It is... Okay, there we go. It's the same as Denmark, just objectives changed around a little bit. You're following the Scharnhorst, which is going to return. Normally it returns back to Kiel. You have the option to go back to Hamburg. Got to fix that objective. This provides some rewards too. You're going to see. So if you achieve the elite objective in Glorious Report, you get a special reward that will deploy. You're going to get your cruisers and destroyers here if you reach those objectives. And that's pretty much all this scenario is for. When you're in the middle of a land, it's kind of hard to really put off some fake lakes and stuff. And then this is the armistice scenario. I mentioned a little bit about fear tokens and fear disloyalty and stuff. You have some objectives here. You can destroy the Oslo-Lorraine Monument, the Visitor Center, and the Stone Tablet. They're labeled. We don't have special objectives or special models. Do not destroy the rail carriage and the statue of Marshal Ship. You have the abilities to do it. By completing this objective, you get the Fear Loyalty token. By this objective, you get the Fear Disloyalty token. Loyalty token will be used for a permanent core slot increase, some other rewards. Disloyalty token means you get a permanent core slot decrease, and those will carry over. You get some special rewards and heroes with all your elite points, and then this will be the save point and or 1940 Part 2, which will be the Battle of Britain, and going into Spain and Africa will begin. So I've been No Sport, everybody. Hopefully you have a great day, and see you on the battlefield soon.